Greetings, conscious viewers of Project Prison. Most of us live without questioning the very nature of our reality. We have accepted this world and its rules as the only possible truth. But what if reality is not a gift, but a masterfully designed mechanism? What if we are not free humans, but prisoners, bound to a location we call planet Earth? Today, we start with the simplest things to prove that our entire biological and social system is a brilliant architecture of control. We begin with a question you have known since childhood, but never considered its true philosophical meaning. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Most consider this an unsolvable riddle. But for us, it is proof of the system's artificiality. According to evolutionary logic, there must be a transitional stage. But there isn't one. Each of these elements is perfect in itself and depends on the other. This is the first piece of evidence. A chicken cannot exist without an egg, and an egg cannot exist without a chicken. This is a self-sufficient, cyclical energy chain. It is not evolution. It is a program loop created to generate a continuous flow of life energy without endangering the system. The question is not what came first. The question is, how did both elements enter the system that holds them at the exact same time? Answer: they were uploaded together. It is a closed circle. It is a trap. Now, let's move to social traps. Our economic system is a perfect social chain, just like the chicken and the egg. It is a cycle: work, debt, dependency. We are taught that the goal of life is labor. We trade our most valuable resource, time, for money, only to exchange that money for the maintenance of the body prison. The system guarantees you will always be in debt. Mortgages, loans, endless purchases that simulate short-term happiness. Your time is extracted from you in advance. Debt is the guarantee that you will never have enough free time for internal growth or system analysis. It is a chain that binds your consciousness to the horizontal 3D level of survival, preventing you from looking up. You spend your life maintaining your own imprisonment. That is the main goal of the social trap. The prison system is not authoritarian in the direct sense. Its genius lies in giving us the illusion of choice. We are allowed to choose which party to support, which store to visit, which movie to watch. But all possible paths lead inside the perimeter. It is like a maze where you can turn right or left, but every turn leads to the same central cell. The choice exists only between different chains, not between chains and freedom. Think about it. You can choose to work in an office or be a freelancer. The choice seems free. But in both cases, you trade your time for money to service your body and pay debts. Every choice consumes your time and energy, preventing you from making the main choice, the choice of awakening. This illusion is a psychological fuse. It gives us a sense of control, and we agree to the imprisonment because we chose this path ourselves. If we had no choice, we would rebel. But since we chose, we accept responsibility for our slavery. Freedom is not choosing between two doors in a prison. Freedom is seeing that the door itself is a mechanism of control. The system cannot allow us to be free, so it imposes false values. We strive for physical beauty to satisfy social pressure. We accumulate things to prove our status. We consume entertainment to fill the inner void. Each of these elements is a trap requiring time and resources. you become dependent on external validation, which is just another chain holding you inside this hierarchy. This distraction ensures we never seek true internal value. The system does not fear revolutions. It fears a consciousness that has learned to value its time and inner peace above external toys. True wealth in the prison is free time and awareness. But we are fed the illusion that wealth is a new gadget or a car. This is a total substitution of concepts. We are programmed to constantly desire what does not matter, investing our energy in supporting the very mechanisms that imprison us. In the next episode of Project Prison, we will dissect the most perfect trap, our body. We will ask, is it a gift from the Creator or a biomaterial prison designed to contain our potential? But this project is impossible without your conscious participation. Comment, ask your questions, and share your thoughts below this video. Your questions are our fuel. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. In the previous episode, we took the first step beyond the edge of knowledge. We proved that the simplest life cycles on Earth are an architecture of control. Our task here is not to believe blindly. Our task is to analyze systems and expose their logic. As with the chicken and the egg, we realized that the most important question would be, how did either of them get to our planet? If simple life is programmed for cyclical dependency, we must ask ourselves, what then is programmed for us, the most complex beings? We are the most complex machine on this planet. We are a creation that possesses self-awareness and will. And we accept this shell with gratitude, calling the body a gift from the Creator. But is it really a gift? Or is it the most perfect biomaterial prison, designed to limit your senses, contain your consciousness in three-dimensional space, and restrict your true potential? The first chain is breath. Without it, we are dead in minutes. This is not just a need. It is an instant, innate weakness. Think about it. You cannot disable this function, even if you want to. If we are created in the image and likeness of an almighty Creator, why are we so vulnerable and tethered to the atmosphere of this one specific planet? Our dependence on oxygen is not a biological accident. It is a security function that keeps us tied to the perimeter of the prison. It is like an autonomous lock that triggers the moment you try to go beyond the system's set parameters. The second chain is food and water. Every day, every few hours, we must service the shell. This process consumes a significant part of our time and is a programmed distraction. Think about it. To obtain fuel food, we must spend most of our lives working to earn currency. The body is a machine that requires constant, expensive maintenance. A human who is constantly thinking about the next meal, about water bills, about the need to earn, has no time to seek the truth or realize their potential. They seek survival, not an exit. This necessity to satisfy basic needs binds us to the social system of the prison, forcing us to play by its rules. This is the main goal of the prison architecture. The most offensive limitation is sleep, which lasts for a third of our lives. Why must a being with a potential for immortality shut down, surrendering time and control? Think about this. We are the only creatures forced to leave our consciousness unattended. During sleep, you cannot learn, you cannot observe, you cannot resist. This is not rest. This is a mandatory system reboot. And most importantly, it is a daily memory wipe of who you really are. It is during this time that technical maintenance, program updates, or the deletion of unwanted information, which could lead you to the truth, likely occurs. Sleep is not a blessing. It is a fuse in the prison system. If the Creator is love, why did He create us so vulnerable? Our organism is extremely fragile. We easily get injured, we depend on slight temperature changes, and we constantly fight against diseases. Think about the engineering logic. Why does a machine with potential for immortality lack full self-regeneration? Why does even minor damage require resources, time, and external intervention? This is not a gift. This is a low-energy efficiency system created for constant maintenance. The body needs to be constantly repaired with medicine, food, sleep. This constant need for repair forces us to be slaves to the system. If our bodies were perfect, we wouldn't spend our lives maintaining them. But the prison architecture demands that we remain fragile and vulnerable. The body is a device for consumption, not a tool for creation. Its fragility guarantees that we will be controlled and distracted from the main goal, the search for truth. Death and disease are not mistakes. They are key functions of the program. Disease accelerates the shutdown of old, potentially awakened units, preventing them from accumulating too much knowledge about the system. In the prison system, there is no accidental death. Every shutdown is programmed as a control function, and death ensures rotation, the reincarnation cycle. This cycle guarantees that no entity can stay in one shell for too long, accumulating experience and knowledge that could threaten the control. This is disposal architecture. Our energy does not disappear. It is harvested and recycled at the moment of death as a valuable resource to be loaded again into a new, clean shell. Think of it like a hard drive. Only the energetic essence with minimal experience is extracted, while critical knowledge about the system is completely wiped. This ensures a constant stream of new, uninformed units who begin playing by the prison rules all over again, unaware of the history of their previous imprisonment. The body is a prison of meat, designed to keep our true, immortal essence tethered, distracted, and controlled. It is a masterpiece of engineering, perfect in every detail. But the greatest deception is not the physical chains. If the body is just a shell, then what controls our mind? What creates the mental perimeter from which escape seems impossible? What forces us to voluntarily lock ourselves in a cage of social conflicts? What makes us aggressive, intolerant, and forces us to reproduce the chaos that ensures control? We seem to agree with the architects of the prison that we should mutually destroy each other, constantly distracted from the real enemy and the true purpose of our existence. In the next episode of Project Prison, we will dissect the most insidious mechanism of control, the one that exists only in our heads. Episode 03, Aggression and Fear. How emotions control the prison. Do not miss it. Also, do not forget to comment on this second episode of our project. It is important for us to understand the thoughts of all viewers of our channel regarding this topic, and we are grateful for your previous feedback and likes. In the previous episode, we revealed the architecture of our physical imprisonment. We proved that our body is not a gift, but a biological mechanism of control that keeps us tethered to this planet, demanding constant maintenance, sleep, and cyclical disposal. But physical chains are merely the foundation. What use is a perfect prison if consciousness can wander freely? The true walls of this prison are not made of meat. They are invisible and exist only in your head. These are emotions. They are what turn our minds into a battlefield. In this episode, we ask the key question: are our emotions real, or are aggression and fear the most insidious tools of management, created so that we voluntarily lock ourselves in a cage of our own making? Physical chains, the body, keep us on the planet, but emotional chains keep us in conflict. And the most distinct manifestation of this control is war. Why do beings possessing self-awareness and the potential for creativity constantly strive for mutual destruction? War is not politics. It is a function of the system. It is a guarantee that our minds will always be focused on survival, not on awakening. The aggressor who starts wars such as Putin is not a leader, but an imbecile of the system, obeying orders from above, blindly executing a program. He is merely a simple tool that ensures the necessary level of chaos. Look at the cold statistics that shock. In known human history, for every 13 years of war, there is only 1 year of peace. Peace is not the norm. Peace is a temporary deviation. The real iron law of the prison is conflict. If it were just natural conflict, it would last 1 year against 13 years of peace. Therefore, war is a construction of the system. This constant aggression and chaos serve a dual mechanism of control. 1. Time devouring. It destroys time for development. 2. Energy feeding. Fear, anger, and suffering are the very energy harvest that feeds the architecture of the prison. They do not need our love or gratitude. They need our pain. Aggression and war are the macro level. This is the general grid of control. But the system also requires individual, daily supervision. And here, fear comes into play. Fear is not just an emotion. It is a built-in security perimeter for consciousness. It is the invisible barrier that prevents you from taking the first step out of the prison. What are its main tools? 1. Fear of poverty. It forces us to voluntarily spend our lives working to service the body prison. This is a mental oath to eternal slavery. 2. The chain of rules and laws. Society imposes countless rules, most of which have nothing to do with morality, but only with control. These rules create the fear of punishment, fines, prison, exile. Every new law is a new, legalized emotional chain that limits your freedom of choice and forces you to follow a set path. 3. Fear of social rejection. It forces us to accept lies and refuse the search for truth, just to remain in the pack. This fear guarantees self-censorship of your thoughts. 4. Fear of loneliness. It forces us to seek distraction in shallow relationships, just so we are not left alone with the potential of our own awakening. Fear is a silent warden. Even if you manage to overcome your own fear and reject aggression, the system will not leave you alone. It applies the mechanism of emotional diversion. This is the principle of watch the other, not yourself. We are constantly bombarded with information noise through media, political dramas, scandals, and the lives of so-called stars. What is the goal of this diversion? First, defocusing. The system guarantees that our emotional focus is always directed at someone else's drama or external conflict. When you are busy with someone else's life, you do not examine your own imprisonment. This is an emotional fiction created so that you live not in your own, but in someone else's cage. Second, the constant emotional swing. News and social networks feed us dosed portions of fear, anger, and envy. This constant change of emotions prevents your consciousness from reaching a state of peace. And only in a state of peace and inner silence can the truth be heard. You are constantly emotionally reactive, not consciously active. Third, legalization of negativity. Diversion normalizes aggression and fear. If you see that everyone around is arguing, afraid, or envious, you begin to perceive this as normal human life. This is the programmatic normalization of dysfunction. so that no one thinks about going beyond this emotional chaos. Emotional diversion is the last line of defense. We started our project by exploring the biological chains of the body, but today we proved that the real prison exists in our consciousness. Fear and aggression are not just negative emotions. They are masterfully designed control mechanisms that provide a double function. They feed the prison system, and they isolate us from the truth. Your consciousness can be free, but if you allow these emotions to rule, you will build the strongest walls yourself. You will become both the prisoner and the warden in your own cage. The exit from the prison begins not with a physical breakthrough, but with emotional liberation. Learning to observe your anger and fear rather than reacting to them is the first step toward destroying the mental walls. Announcement. In the next, perhaps most intriguing episode of Project Prison, we will dissect the architecture of the perimeter. We will touch upon a phenomenon that may be evidence of repetition, déjà vu, and show why the universe is also a prison wall. Episode 4, The Perimeter. How space and time control the prison. Do not miss it and comment. Thank you for your likes and support of our bold project. See you in reality.